All right, so these are our classroom expectations for computer science, aka computer literacy. I'm Miss Cassidy. So, first thing, logging into the computer, that's how you unlock the computer in order to get access to it. Username is going to be lunch number at sumnerschools.org. Password's going to be your birthday. You're going to hit the sign in with Microsoft, and then this is going to pop up. And then after that, you put in your password. You're going to do this every single day, so it's important that you know this information. Anytime you're going into Clever or something to do with Google, you're going to do your lunch number at sumnerk12.net. So if you're getting into the computer, it's sumnerschools.org. If you're going to Google or Clever, sumnerk12.net. Passwords are both birthday. And there's a picture there of what that would look like. So at the end of the day, we log off the computer. We do not shut off the computer. So shutting off the computer means we're turning off the computer. If I did that for every class period, I would have to do that at least 8 times, and these computers wouldn't last very long. So we are only logging off, which means when you log in, your information is popping up on the screen. When you log out, your information is off the computer, right? Same thing as when you're playing a video game, right? You sign in, you sign out, same kind of deal. So you're going to hit that Apple sign on the top left corner, and then you're going to go down to log out, and it'll have your name there. And then it'll say, are you sure? And you're going to hit yes. Tardy to class. So if every day we line up outside the door, that's because I don't trust y'all with the computers alone. When the bell rings, we'll go in. And then when I shut the door, if I'm not already at the door, once the door is shut and you come to my class, you are officially tardy. That shouldn't be the case for anybody just because it takes a couple minutes for us to get in the room anyway, so you should be fine. But if for some reason you come to the door and it's closed and it's after the bell, then you're tardy. If you have a note from a teacher, you are not tardy. You're excused. So if you're with a teacher, you're helping them out. I can't think of another example, but anytime you're with someone, please ask for a note, and then when you come to class, we won't have a problem. Beginning of class, so we're going to line up outside the door. We're going to come through the door when I open it after the bell rings, and then you're going to go to your seat. The projector is what your agenda and your instructions for the day are going to be. So I first put up the bell ringer, and then after the timer ends, we go to the agenda for the day. So always read the board when you come in here. Bell ringers, I'm going to put a timer up on the TV screen. Projector's just going to say bell ringer. You're going to type. Typing.com, typingclub.com, or NitroType. It's usually 15 minutes, but it can change depending on what lesson I do and kind of what activities we're doing for the day. So we've gone through a few days as a class. I do not feel the need to create a random seating chart. I think your seats that you've chosen the first few days have been fine. We haven't had any problems. So I'm giving you the option to stay at your seat that you've been using, and that's going to be your official computer for the whole rest of the quarter. So choose wisely. There's going to be a Google document today that's in Google Classroom, and you're just going to answer some questions about where you're sitting, and that you understand that it could change depending on behavior. So I want you to stay at your seat when you get there. There's no walking around. There's no being social. It's sit at your desk, get your work done. If another student needs help and is asking you a question, you can go over there and help them out. I'm all for helping fellow students and classmates out. That is awesome. But we're not going over there just to say hi or see what they're doing, right? So you can get tissues, hand sanitizer, ask to go to the bathroom, that is fine. But if you're just getting up to go see somebody and chat for a second, that's a no. All right. So I am able to see your screens from my computer using a certain software. So I will be back here. If I'm at my desk, I'm most likely watching your screens instead of walking around or standing behind everybody. So if I see that you're on a wrong site, for example, not a Google Classroom, or you're not typing, or you're looking up something random like the Schaefer's football schedule or something, that's a write-up. All right. So when you have finished with everything, please tell me so that I can see from my screen that when you start playing games, you're finished. So please just tell me, hey, Ms. Cassidy, I finished everything. And I'll go, okay. And then you can play your games and I won't give you a write-up, right? There's probably 20, 25 kids in here, and it's hard for me to remember who's finished what. So just tell me. Food, no food in here. We've got technology in here. It's not a good idea. You can have things like, Jolly Ranchers, gum, things that don't require your hands to be used, right? Takis are a no. You get the blue and you get the red ones, and the stuff gets on your hands. These keyboards are white. It's just not a good idea, right? So stuff that does not cause staining, stuff that you do not use your hands with is fine. Jolly Ranchers, gum, mints, just things like that. But chips, things like that stain your hands. Even if it's a potato chip that does not stain your hand, that's a no, right? Just don't really want any food in here. Drinks are okay as long as they have a lid on top of it. Like for example, this one, it's got a lid on top of it. That's fine. If it has a straw in it and it's not completely closed, just set it on the floor so it doesn't get on the computers because these are expensive. If you have a drink without a lid on it, just sit it on my desk and then pick it up after the end of class. So let's see. Yeah, so no cell phones, no smartwatches. If I see them, I'm taking them up. I don't give warnings out just because you know the rules. This has been a thing for a while and it's school wide, so everybody should know this. So no smartwatches, no phones. Even if your smartwatch is off and it's on your wrist, that counts as having a phone out, right? So it's the same kind of deal. Should not be on. Gum, like I said before, gum's allowed. That's fine. Just throw it away in the trash can. I've got a trash can in the middle of the classroom underneath the board, and there's a trash can next to my desk in the middle of the classroom. So all the trash is in the middle of the classroom. Touching other people's computers. So we don't touch other people's computers because they could break, right? If I see you reaching over and typing on somebody's keyboard, that's a no because you could break the keyboard, which I've had happen this year, which is why number 12 is not being used, is because the keyboard was broken. So these computers were new last year and I want to keep them in good condition. So we're not going to be touching other computers, messing around with other people. You should be only touching your computer. One computer is enough for you. If that becomes a problem, I'll tell a parent. If it's still a problem, then you're going to lose your computer privilege, which means you're going to be sitting with me in the back on one of these long tables at a chair, and you're going to be working on your iPad. And if that's the whole rest of the quarter, that's the whole rest of the quarter. I have to be able to trust you with this technology. If I can't trust you because you're unplugging computers or you're banging on the mouse or the keyboard is not at your desk, it's way over here on this side of the classroom, this is just common sense stuff. But if I can't trust you with these things, then you're not going to use them anymore. You're going to be working on your iPad. So please be respectful of the computers. Questions, just raise your hand. I'll come help you out. If I try to give everybody my full attention, so it might take a minute or two, just be patient. I will get to you, I promise. I usually put my hand up like I acknowledge you, I'm coming to you next, kind of a thing. If you don't want to wait, then you can ask a friend and they can come help you out. That's fine with me too. Class. So when class is over, don't ask me, hey, when does the bell ring? When do we get out of here? I have it written down on the back next to the bookshelf where the printer is located. So all you have to do is turn around and the clock is there too above it. So just turn around. Don't ask me that question. I will not answer. I'll just point at the board. Let's see. If you have to leave class for whatever reason, you're going to make SmartPass. The only time I believe you don't make SmartPass is if the office calls you down. Otherwise, you need to make one. So when you leave class, make a pass. If for some reason Clever or SmartPasses just aren't working, technology just doesn't want to work today, I do have lanyards that you can wear. That's just old school, They are next to the hand sanitizer at the back of the room, just in the middle of the room. Just grab one. But ask for permission first. I need to know where you're located because if they call you from the office, I need to know where you are. I need to be able to tell them, oh, she's in the bathroom or he's in the bathroom. They're on their way, When class is over, put the headphones on the monitor, put the chair under the desk. Mouse should not be behind the monitor. Everything should look like this, right? Common sense. We have multiple periods, multiple students using your computer. So it's important that we put a little effort into keeping it in good condition, right? So please have everything organized when you leave. Doesn't have to be perfect, just doesn't look like a hot mess, all right? The number one thing I really want is just the chair under the desk. That's my pet peeve. If you're absent, you won't have any makeup work. If I mark you absent on Skyward and we have an assignment that day, I'm going to hit no count so that it doesn't count against you. I do sometimes miss this. So if you were absent and I counted a grade, just let me know and I'll go back and double check because teachers make mistakes too. So if I'm not here, then you will either have a sub or we will split classes, which means that I will have a list out of your name to another related arts teacher. And if your name is under them, then you will go to that related arts teacher for the day. Usually I'm not out very much. I've only been out once so far. But if it happens, it happens, Let's see, first period. If you're late to class for first period, you have to go to the office to get a late note, a tardy slip. If you're still eating breakfast, stand out in the hallway, eat it, no food in here, right? Bell ringer is the same as every other class. You come in here, we start typing, but there is the announcement. So, before I say anything to the class, just come in, try to log on your computer. Announcements are going to come on, do the Pledge of Allegiance and everything, and then just get started. And then by the end of that timer on the TV, I'll start giving information. Eighth period, nothing really new. It's just the first bell is car riders and walkers only. Second bell is everybody else. First bell is when you're allowed to have phones out, 2:45. Other than that, no phones. Google Classroom is where we're going to have all of our assignments. I love Google Classroom, use it all the time. Please make sure that you read the instructions on the actual assignment, which means when you pull up the assignment and it has the documents and the presentations and whatnot, there's usually in the middle some instructions that I give you. The only reason I do that is because, one, I don't want to have to, talk to every single person in here. Two, because I'm trying to save my voice. Two, I don't have a bunch of room on the TV screen and the projector. So if there are things I need to tell you, I usually put it under the assignment. So please read that in Google Classroom. I just wanted to go over just a few keys on the keyboard here that we need to know about just to make sure we're all on the same page. Top row. So the three on the right next to the circle, the first one is going to be your volume higher button, then you got volume lower button, and then after that it's volume mute. Doesn't have any wavelinks coming out of it, right? Then you got fast forward, pause, backwards for music. I don't know if that works for YouTube. Let's see, what other ones do we need to know about? On the left would be on the top left next to escape. That's just brightness. So the right one's brighter. The left one is less bright. And you can tell by the little lines around the sun. Escape means that it's going to get out of the window that you have. So if you're on a game and you can't get out of it, try to hit escape, which is the top left button, ESC. Next things for typing, you've got all the letters, all the numbers. The shift is going to make a letter capital. You can do caps lock, but caps lock is like you hit it once and everything is capitalized. So I usually do shift because once you let go of shift, everything's lowercase again. Spacebar on the bottom gives you space and you got your arrows on the bottom. Command is a shortcut that we'll use. You usually use other keys with it. Shortcuts are just keys that we do that give you a certain function instead of having to use the mouse, right? So command is one that we use all the time in here. I would be aware of where that's located. Everything else you don't really need to know about. Delete on there is basically backspace. Everything else is fine. So next, after this, once you've answered all the questions on this presentation and you've gone through it, the next thing is seating chart on Google Classroom. I just answer a few questions about where you're sitting and where the rest of the year is going to look like, or quarter. If you have any questions, please ask and let me know.